Hello, everyone, and welcome to the wild, wonderful, wacky world of Wolfenstein 2 Electric Boogaloo. Okay, so maybe not, but it is wonderful. Not so wacky, but Wolfenstein the New Colossus. And, well, in an attempt to make this video as spoiler light as possible, I'm doing a side mission right now in an attempt to assassinate a side target, and it dumped me right next to a whole bunch of dudes, so this isn't exactly where I thought I'd be starting this video, but welcome to the subways of Manhattan in New York. And yeah, this is Wolfenstein 2. Something a lot of us have been waiting for a little while, because Wolfenstein The New Order was a pretty wonderful surprise when I think a lot of us, at least myself, heard they were kind of rebooting, I guess you could say. They were kind of restarting the Wolfenstein franchise, only with a bit of a story focus and some new ideas. I was skeptical but interested. And they handed it to Machine Games, a fairly new developer who hadn't done much else yet, but were sort of proving themselves with this, and that was, basically a trial by fire for them, essentially. And quite a trial it was, because they managed to create something extremely memorable with the New Order. It was something that really enhanced, I think, our perceptions of what a just run-and-gun, kill-em-all FPS can be in terms of character and story. And that was different and interesting. Oh boy. They found me. And, well, we're going to do the kill 'em all part right now, because I've been spotted. This is a triple-barreled shotgun, and I'm about to die. And I think that's all you really need to know. The game has a triple-barreled shotgun, and you can fire all three barrels at once, or one at a time. It's up to you. So, the combat in the game is just as good as the combat was in the New Order, maybe even a little... I can't get out of here. Maybe even a little better because of the new variety of weapons. And they've also altered the weapon upgrade system a bit. You may remember if you played the New Order that the weapon upgrade system worked in kind of an interesting way. Essentially what you did was you could find weapon upgrade pieces around the place, depending on where you were, and they would upgrade a specific weapon if you picked them up. They were missable, and you could actually, just walk right past them. But if you got them, you would get that upgrade for that weapon. They were specific. So if you picked up the rocket module for the assault rifle, then your assault rifle could fire rockets. Well, in this case, they're actually non-exclusive weapon upgrade kits that you then choose what you want afterwards. So they've changed the way that it works a little bit now. And you actually have a bit more choice in that regard, which I actually kind of appreciate, although the weapon upgrades were pretty cool in the first game, no doubt. In this case, they're still just as cool, but now you get to choose which ones you want when. So, I approve of that. Also, the heavy weapons, there we go, are just as excellent as they were as well. You have a giant laser, that 4-barreled, auto shotgun, and even things like a some sort of diesel launcher thing. It's like a diesel-powered, almost like grenade launching thing. I'm not really sure how to describe it. And some series favorites return, like this, the assault rifle or Sturmgewehr, but now it works a little bit differently. You'll notice it looks a little bit different as well, and its upgrade is a bit different too. You have this scope, which turns it into a single-shot, particularly potent rifle. Yeah. And you can get other upgrades for them too. I'll actually show you how that works right now. Go to the weapons menu and you can see all the weapons you have available. Now, like I said, I'm going to try to keep this video spoiler light by not talking about any sort of important story elements or important character moments or things like that, but any interface spoilers or anything the characters may say in the background, I can't really help that. I'll just try and keep what I say from being too important. But you just choose the weapon that you want, say the shock hammer here, that awesome tri-barreled combat shotty, and you can then choose what you want to upgrade with it. And the upgrade kits are collectibles you find in the levels. And that works very similarly to the first game, where you can find these commanders that you really need to kill stealthily, or else they will summon infinite reinforcements until you do so. And if you are able to kill them, they will reveal all the collectibles on the map, and you can go and find them. And some of those may be weapon upgrade kits. And you just spend them wherever you want. You cannot upgrade the heavy weapons, which kind of makes sense because you only get those occasionally, but the weapons you actually keep with you, you can upgrade. And all the weapons will have 3 upgrades. 2 of them will be passive things that will always be available to you. For instance, the Kampfpistole here, which is basically like a flare gun meets grenade launcher. It's a pistol grenade launcher, effectively. It's pretty sweet. Can have a shoulder stock to eliminate most of the recoil, because of course it's a very heavy recoiling weapon, and a spring loader. So that instead of being a single-shot weapon, it is now a 3-shot weapon. And then one of the upgrades will be a toggleable active upgrade that you actually have to hit a button to activate. In this case, it turns it from a grenade launcher into a rocket launcher, effectively. And all of the weapons follow that particular formula, which is pretty neat. Another change, by the way, in the way that the collectibles work is relevant to this particular mission that I'm on right now. If you remember from the New Order, you could collect Enigma codes from around the levels. And they would be just, laying around the place you could find them. Now, although there are plenty of collectibles laying around to find, like I mentioned earlier, by killing the commanders you can find them easier. Things like concept art, Nazi gold, things of that nature. That's still here. But now the Enigma codes are not actually part of the equation. They are now actually an active part of the game mechanics. And how they work is you can, when you kill a commander, you actually have to loot his body for an Enigma code. Oh my goodness. Yep. And in doing so, that didn't do anything. And in doing so, you can obtain the code as well as, see a bunch of the collectibles on the map. The Enigma codes are actually things that you keep, and eventually, at a certain point in the storyline, oh my goodness, there's a bunch of dudes here, you will unlock the ability to use an Enigma machine to decode those. And that's relevant to where I currently am right now. Because this is a side mission, this isn't part of the main story, and this is one of the kind of the cooler aspects of the game, and that there's a lot more choice in where you go and what you get to do at a certain point in the game. Okay. Oh boy. Yep. There you go. Go down, big boy. And after a certain point, you can use these codes in a sort of somewhat nerve-wracking minigame to unlock the ability to go on these side missions. And what the codes effectively do is show you the location of these Uber commandos that will allow you to go on missions to assassinate them and weaken the Nazi war machine by doing so. And by doing this, you can get some extra resources, some upgrades and things of that nature, and also find yourself some more resources for your team. It's just it's a side mission, but it's still part of the story in a way. There are several of them, and there are just enough codes to sort of find all of them, but if you actually fail the decoding minigame, you actually lose the codes by doing so. That's why I say it's kind of nerve-wracking, because they are a limited resource, so you kind of need to be careful about how you use them, which I didn't expect them to take it in that direction, but they did. So, in doing this, you will more or less gain a choice of lots of different directions to go all at once, and once you actually unlock the Enigma machine, you will be able to go on a lot of side missions at your own discretion, or continue the main quest line whenever you wish. It's kind of funny to use the phrase main quest when talking about Wolfenstein, because it normally is, a linear FPS. That's just what it is, and that's fine. But they decided to take a different route this time in a way that most of us didn't expect to see, really. And again, that's kind of what they did the first time around as well. Poor guy. Became part of the wall. And I can't really say that I'm all that surprised, because they showed themselves to be, Machine Games, showed themselves to be an incredibly competent team when it came to the New Order. And what they made with the New Order was, like I said, something kind of redefined what story could be in a run-and-gun FPS that didn't necessarily, oh boy, that didn't necessarily need a story to be good. The shooting was so good and the environments were so good that the story could have been an afterthought and it still would have been an excellent game, but they went that extra mile and made the characters memorable, and they made the character arcs interesting enough. I'm gonna probably lose this so I can restart at this point. I don't want to get spotted. Oh, I have to restart the entire thing? Oh no! Okay, I should have saved. But, yeah, so the point that I was trying to make, I suppose, is that they didn't have to go the route that they did, and although they didn't have to, what they ended up creating became like Game of the Year for many, many people. And a lot of people were wondering if they could do it again. Like, how could they? What could they actually do this time? Well, they decided to take that formula and switch it up in ways that were unexpected for people. There we go. So this mission doesn't have as many checkpoints as I thought it did. I guess I wasn't paying attention to the little checkpoint indicator up there. It was not showing the entire time. Well, that's a problem. Alright. We're just gonna get through this part real quick. This is on hard. The game does have difficulties above hard, but I decided to just go on hard because no thank you. Not the first time, at least. The narrative to this game is just as good as the first game, if not even better. The things that it has to say are interesting and worth saying, and the characters are wonderful. Just as, you know, throughout the New Order had, of course, some very memorable moments with the characters that you met and the challenges that you faced with them. This is no exception. And some of the things that are said, the game ranges from really funny at times to really, really crushingly sad, but without ever feeling like an inappropriate whiplash of mood that didn't make sense. And it all fits together really well. It's a war story that is tragic and at times really funny, but without ever feeling like it didn't make sense. Because, I mean, you are in a Nazi America, an America that is taken over by Nazis, so that's going to come along with some interesting societal notions, because you are in the 60s when the Civil Rights Movement is happening and things like that, or, well, should have been happening. So there are certain connotations with that, given that the KKK is back and the Nazis are supporting them and some other things are happening. That means this entire thing has kind of not worked out how it originally did in real life. And it's made for a really interesting narrative. Oh god. The enemy variety is very much back in full force as well, and it's even more various than in the first Wolfenstein, by which I mean the New Order, of course. And now you still have various rankings of Nazi soldier, and of course you've got your big, like, super soldiers like that guy right there. But you've also got things like, and I'm completely serious about this, diesel-powered Nazi Terminators, basically. Those exist. Just completely robotic Nazi robots. You've also got the KKK as well, and some other stuff that I don't really want to spoil, but you've also, one thing that I suppose wouldn't be spoiled because it's been in the screenshots, is things like the fire-breathing Panzerhunds, the robotic dogs. Those are terrifying. And some other non-Nazi enemies and stuff as well. So you've got a lot more variety this time in what you're actually facing, which is cool. And some of the stuff is a welcome diversion from what you're normally put through. The environments are interesting as well because you're not just in Germany for the most part this time. You're actually in America. Like, you know, right now I'm in the Manhattan subway. You go to other places like New Orleans. You go to various like nuclear bunkers and some other stuff like that. There are Roswell is there. Texas is there. You know, you've got some more varied locales. Gonna go this way. So, oh, and I should also mention, of course, that the music is just incredible and is done, of course, by Mick Gordon, the guy who did the music for The New Order, as well as the excellent soundtrack for Doom and Prey, and the soundtrack for several of the, in my opinion, the better soundtrack characters for Killer Instinct. I wish to save now. Thank you. So yeah, the continuing adventures of Blazkowicz and crew just get more interesting as you go, and the more characters and moments that you see may actually really surprise you with some of the things that happen in this game. They did some things that I genuinely didn't expect them to do, and of course I'm not going to spoil any of that, but some of the things that are done and said, they really surprised me. I didn't expect that to happen at all. And some people find the first hour or so of the game to be a little bit tough to watch because of some of what happens. And, I mean, it even surprised me with some of the things that it showed and said. But I think it handled it very well. What the game showed was important, and what the game actually said through showing that, it didn't ham-fist. I find a lot of video game narratives want to make a point through showing controversial things, but they do it in a way that isn't nearly as mature and as well handled as movies and books can do. But we're getting to a point where video games can actually do that well nowadays, and I think Wolfenstein, and I can't believe I'm saying this considering what Wolfenstein used to be, but Wolfenstein has actually managed to make a mature narrative that is on the level of things like, you know, The Witcher and things like that, and actually say something important and interesting and of value with its characters and with its story, something that is worthy of being listened to, and something that can actually mean something to people. And if you don't want to care about any of that, the shooting is still so good that if you really just want a game that's about shooting Nazis, then you have a game that's about shooting Nazis, and you can just shoot Nazis all day, because the shooting Nazis is still as good as it's ever been. Oh, crap. Oh, God. And, yeah, the actual mechanics of the game are still as up to par as the story and characters have ever been as well. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to that. And this part is really challenging, actually, to not get spotted, because there are dudes everywhere. I've never actually done one of these Uber Commando missions before. I see why they're so Uber. Okay. Sneaking around. So yeah, that is Wolfenstein: The New Colossus. It is available for $60 on Steam and various other stores where games is be sold, and you can probably just go buy it right now because it's awesome. It is pretty replayable because there are several choices to make, just like in the first game. Of course, I'm not going to... Oh my god. I'm not going to spoil those, but choices do exist. And sometimes you just gotta go nuts and shoot everything in sight. There we go. Oh, there's another one. Crap. Hard mode kind of gets me sometimes when I'm not paying enough attention. Oh, and one of the choices involves the ability to do this. I can't do it. Nope, can't do it down here. To do... Nope, can't do it. Darn, can't show you. Oh, you're gonna have to use your imagination as to what I was talking about there. Basically, you get some special equipment at some point, and it's between a choice of 3 pieces of special equipment that allow you to do some really interesting things. play it and find out. But yeah, it's definitely worth your money if you're into first-person shooters. If you're into it for the story, for the characters, for the shooting, any of that. Just, it's all of a very high quality. If you just want the soundtrack, it's really, any part of it is just as good as the rest. And it's rare that you get to say that about things, about games these days, because usually games have a very specific strength and then some serious weaknesses when it comes to AAAs. And you look for indies these days for your like really interesting experimental stuff to have higher quality games, I guess you could say, that are, well, I mean, higher quality in mechanics, not graphical fidelity and things like that, but that's of less importance when it comes to video games, in my opinion. But in this case, yeah, this is a AAA that doesn't have loot boxes or microtransactions or any of that nonsense, and is very much worth your time and money. So give it a shot. Wolfenstein: The New Colossus. I'm gonna try and actually do this right. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please feel free to hit the like button. If you did not like this video, there is a dislike button somewhere in its vicinity. And I'll see you next time. Oh god, where is he? Where'd he go? Can I get them both? Yes. Oh god, there's a dog! Sorry, dog. Nope. That was close. Damn.